권.
공동이 됩니다. 공동이 역전을 만듭니다. 이첨의 장면을.
Winners of the AFC Champions League 2020, Ulsan Hyundai.
You're listening to the K-League United podcast, proud partner of Football Nation Radio.
Hello, I'm Ashmik. Welcome to the K-League United podcast. I'm Paul Neat, and I'm joined by a man who didn't even need to go to Tokyo for 4 goals, 4 golden ales, that is, for 10,001. It's Matthew Binns.
Hello, Paul. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Not too bad, as you said. It's just enjoying having some time off at the moment and seeing all the successful Olympians at the moment. And sadly, we can't include Korea's national team in that. But you managed to take in any Olympic sports yourself?
Well, I have mostly just what's been on Korean channels because they don't seem to want to play anything else other than replays of archery and fencing. I caught the end of the volleyball game after it was obviously pretty clear that Korea's football team weren't going to win that one. I was switching back and forth between the volleyball and Korea against Japan. Always a spectacle. But then I wanted, I think it was Sunday night, I wanted to watch the 100-meter sprint final. But that wasn't on either, so couldn't watch it. It's only 10 seconds, less than 10 seconds.
I know. I found myself, they had a replay of the triathlon, which obviously Team GB came away with a gold. But I didn't realise it was a replay. I, for some reason, hadn't clocked it, and I sat there getting quite excited about winning the gold. And then I looked and I thought, oh, this will be a buzz on Twitter. This I went on, it happened like 5 hours ago or something. No, not realised at all.
Well, that's good, isn't it? I mean, it's like on the news before match of the day. If you don't want to know the results, please look away now, and then you can watch it as if it's live or, without any spoilers.
I do miss that when, like, in the past, you could kind of do that. I've never been able to do it in my adult life. You always get exposed to the results somehow, whether it's on social media, whether it's the football apps you forget to turn off or whatever. But yeah, I do miss the days of just like, I have no idea what's happened. Nobody tell me.
Yeah, that happened to me actually in the Euros. I didn't watch the Czech game, England-Czech game, and because I thought we already are through to the knockouts. I don't really need to watch this game. But then I tried to sort of avoid all spoilers. But then I think it was, not going to name names, but FOTMob had done me. I saw the alert saying that Raheem Sterling had scored, so never mind. But yeah, gone are the days where we can avoid spoilers these days, I think.
There was obviously the match which I probably wish I could have avoided. But yeah, Korea versus Mexico. If you have been living under a rock, if you've been able to keep away from the results, then switch off this podcast now, because it has not ended well for Korea. Let's put it that way. Korea men's team have crashed out of the Olympics, losing 6-3 to Mexico in the quarterfinals, meaning no medals this time round for the young under 24 side. I mean, thinking of that, they've come home. They arrived home on Monday. Not going to have to quarantine as well, it turns out, because they've already had their vaccines and things. But if they were to stay at the Olympics, if they were going to if you're going to put them into other competitions, Paul, what awards, what sports would you reckon some of those players would have done well at?
Oh, good question. Yeah, that'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? If like, okay, lads, you've messed up on the football, but you can choose one sport to enter to try and get that medal. I would probably, if I was Lee Dong-jun, I'd be looking at diving. And that one's pretty much self-explanatory.
That's just, it's right there, isn't it? I've teed that up for the diving. I mean, yeah. He'd do all right at sprinting, old Lee Dong-jun as well. But,
that's a good one. Yeah. Not regular doing the hurdles though, if that's still an Olympic event.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's you could say Lee Gang-in at archery. The only player before the game against Mexico was just sort of scored from outside the area. It's got that accuracy. Lee Dong-kyung fencing. Because he took offence to Chris Wood shaking his hand. Sorry, I don't know. There's a few.
We should really get into it. I think as well. Let's go into the mailbag early this week because we put a mailbag call out there, and surprise, people wanted to talk about this because it has upset a number of people, as Korea's national team's failure does on many occasions. So we're going to go straight in the mailbag now. We'll come back later for any of the K-League related questions, but first out the mailbag is actually our own Branko Balan, and he says Korea's exit from the Olympics was rather shocking. Even if they may not have expected to beat Mexico, Kim Hak-bum took the blame for the result, saying he was not prepared well enough. And he wants to know, what is the next step? Should it be a younger coach from K-League or a replacement from within his staff?
Well, I tweeted after the Mexico game, and then this wasn't really, I wouldn't say a knee-jerk reaction to what happened. I always thought that Kim Hak-bum was a kind of a strange choice, but I think actually there are some parallels between him and Gareth Southgate, because Gareth Southgate never really did much at Middlesbrough, but internationally he did okay. Obviously, he did a decent job with the under-21s for England. Likewise with Kim Hak-bum with the under-23s in the Asian Games 3 years ago. I know he's got a lot of supporters and people who sort of see him as being a very, very good coach. But for me, I just think if that thing about the coach and the aircon is true, which we're led to believe it is true, it's just a bit, you can't do that in the modern era, you know? I just think it's time, personally, I think it's time that we had a young coach come in with some new ideas and try and develop them as a coach as well as the team. I think that's also important, is that you have young coaches given the chance to develop their skill set, not just for the players. So I suggested somebody who is part of Kim Hak-bum's backroom staff. It's Kim Jung, who of course was a legend at Daejeon, but he had spells at FC Seoul and Gangwon and all sorts. But he actually started his coaching career in Belgium with Tubize, if I've pronounced that correctly, I'm not sure, but he started over there, which means that he probably has quite a different upbringing in terms of coaching to what you would probably see in Korea. He's been involved in that setup now with the Korea team for quite a while. Why not give it to someone like him?
It's a good point. I think first as well, I'd just like to say my bit on Kim Hak-bum. I think he has been a good manager for this under-23 side. But yeah, I think all management cycles do come to an end. And I think we've probably seen his limitations in this competition. But I mean, he had to take the helm here because he got them there. He got the gold medal in the Asian Games. He kept some of that squad. But he then won the under-23 Asian Cup, which was quite a feat for Korea. And yeah, he had to take them. And they did do all right. New Zealand game aside, 2 decent performances as well in the group stages. And there was some promising attacking signs against Mexico. Just he got it so wrong defensively. It was quite a misstep from him, from a manager that rightly or wrongly he gets labelled a conservative kind of coach. But he decided not to really protect the defense. He just decided, I'm going to fight fire with Mexico and just throw everyone forward. And it did make for some breathless, entertaining football if you were a neutral. Unfortunately, we did have some allegiances in that match, and it made it quite frustrating. But to answer Branko's question, I've kind of just kept to the K-League. There are a number of players I would consider. I mean, one is actually the team that Branko supports, Jeju United's Nam Kiel. I think has done well. Got Songnam up unfairly pushed out there, gone back down to Jeju, has brought Jeju up, doing all right with them now in the K-League 1. The manager I mentioned last week, Park Dong-hyuk at Asan, I would say that's a bit of a left field choice, but he's only 42. He's done all right with Asan, considering the restraints on him there, but is used to having that police setup where he's kind of given the players and has to get the most out of them. Obviously a bit inexperienced, but then again, you gave your Gareth Southgate comparison there, and he had 3 seasons with Middlesbrough that weren't exactly talked about.
Yeah.
You could even say Lee Byung-gun at Daegu FC. Now, I think the only problem I'd say there is I think Daegu FC is more of a holistic setup. I think the manager is not just the only person who's making all the decisions there. Daegu have been able to switch managers easily in seasons past and continue their trajectory upward. You've seen Lee Byung-gun, how he did at Suwon in his caretaker role, does put a bit of doubt on me. But, Daegu's quite a young team. He's got a few players that are in these young squads. He could also be a good shout. If we're looking at K-League managers, that is.
Yeah. I think with Park Dong-hyuk, he might see that as a step up. Mm-hmm. With the other two, it might, if it was the full national team, then obviously then that would be great. But they might just not see it as a step forward. But yeah, definitely a couple of good candidates.
Get Kim Tae-wan in and just watch him tank the side so he can bolster Sangji. Gimcheon, rather, as they're called now. Yeah, next out of the mailbag. Now, I don't know if this one's a trap, but this is actually from Todd Wild, and it just says, Hwang Hee-jo, talk to me. And, I think opinion's been divided on Hwang Hee-jo after this. A lot of people claiming, he had quite a part to play at this tournament, a failure to show up. And then there's also the other side of the coin where it's been defending him to the hilt, saying it's not his fault. There was other things at play. A lot of passionate opinions on this player. So I'll throw it to you, Paul. What do you think?
Oh, goodness me. Obviously, he was one of the wild cards, but it was a surprise 3 years ago with the Asian Games, but now it's not. It's not a surprise to see him in the squad at all. And yeah, he didn't have the best of starts to the tournament. I can't really remember many occasions where he had good enough service. There was one example that I can remember, and I think that was in the first game against New Zealand where Lee Dong-kyung played him through and he missed and he hit it straight at the keeper. But that was probably the only one that I remember. I don't think that Korea's final third movement and their creativity in that area of the pitch was good enough. You have to, Hwang Hee-jo plays off the last defender and he's very good at sort of latching onto through balls. I don't think Korea ever really gave him the service. Mm-hmm. To me, it's not a problem with Hwang Hee-jo. It was a problem with a bit deeper in the pitch. And I think Korea looked better when Lee Gang-in was there in that number 10 role. And we never really saw enough of that and enough of those two on the pitch at the same time. I think he would have been better at trying to find him from deeper areas. Hwang Hee-jo, yeah, it was disappointing. He ended up scoring a few. Obviously, he scored a hat-trick in one of the games. So he kind of redeemed himself, I think. But I just think maybe it was a bit of pressure. The whole team didn't really look comfortable. They looked quite stressed. Maybe that was it. They said it was nothing to do with military service. That his choices, in terms of the manager's picks for the squad, wasn't about military service. And when I asked Kang In-sung in my interview, he said he's not thinking about military service. It's all about medals. I don't really believe that. But the manager's job is to manage. He's there to not just coach the team. Depends what you see. Is he a head coach? Is he a manager? But I would say someone with his experience, he should be able to know how to talk to his players and find the right balance between arm over the shoulder or a bit of a rollicking, or just knowing how to temper expectations, because he did it in the Asian Games when it's probably even more pressure, because then it was a gold. It had to be a gold. And it was all about Son Heung-min then, wasn't it? So I think it was just a mix of everything. Hwang Hee-jo, I still think he's a very, very good player. He is rightfully playing in Europe. He might move this summer, so we'll see where he ends up. But there were mitigating factors, I think, in his performances in the earlier part of the tournament.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to really add much to that, but I would say that he actually did improve in the tournament. He got a lot of criticism in those first couple of games, particularly we criticised him a little bit on the last week's podcast. I'm not going to shy away from that, but yeah, he did improve against Honduras, got his hat-trick there, but against Mexico actually was probably his best game statistically, even though he was getting far fewer touches inside the box and getting far fewer attempts, real clear opportunities, and it kind of buys into what you're saying there, that he wasn't getting the service, and he made more dribbles, made more tackles, made more duels in that Mexican match, showing that he was trying to make the chances for himself, because he clearly wasn't getting them from his teammate. I think that, yeah, like you said, the manager probably should have considered other options. I don't think Hwang Hee-jo just seemed like the only striker really in the squad. There were other types of players that could go in, but not really anybody to compete with Hwang Hee-jo on that goal scoring front. I would have liked to see Oh Se-hun if he had gone, but obviously there is a limit on the players that could have been chosen. And I suppose with him having completed his military service, they said it's not about military service. But
yeah, I think you're right. That is spot on. Oh Se-hun, his exclusion was more of a surprise than Hwang Hee-jo's inclusion. That he was part of the squad all the way through, but just didn't get picked for the tournament. And then look how well he performed in ACL with Ulsan. He's returned to Ulsan and it didn't take him long to score. So, yeah, that was probably if they wanted a proper number 9, someone with a bit of physicality and knows where the back of the net is, and also whom was definitely the one who should have gone.
Anyway, one more question, then we're going to just draw a line under this. We'll never talk about the Olympics 2020 again and just move on. And this last one comes in from Jeonbuk Hyundai fan via Twitter. That's not me, I swear. No. Jeonbuk Hyundai fan is asking, with Lee Dong-kyung's performance at the Olympics, will he leave Ulsan in the near future? Surely there are eyes on him.
Yeah, I do like him. I think he's improved a lot over the last 12 months, because there were doubts, because he almost left, didn't he? He was linked to the Whitecaps in MLS, and I think it was kind of, because he's now over 22, he's 23 now, it was expected that he wouldn't play quite as much as what he did before that. But I think he's stepped up. He's performed very well for club and country. He scored some good goals, some very important goals as well. And yeah, I don't see why not. And actually, if I was Kim Hak-bum, I would have him as one of my wild cards for the Asian Games next year. I think he's very good. He can play in a number of positions across that sort of three behind the main striker. He can play as a 10 or he can play out wide. And he can hit them. He's scored some good goals. And I think if he carries on like this, then yeah, I agree with John Hyundai fan, is that he's going to have a lot of eyes on him now after the Olympics are finished, between now and the end of the season, and definitely in the build up to the Asian Games.
But yeah, that's it. Let's just move on. Let's just move on.
That's enough of that. Indeed, yeah, that's enough of that. We'd like to think we are quite progressive here at K-League United, try to play a modern brand of football. So we'll try and play out from the back and begin with our interviews, which is starting with Incheon United centre-back Harrison Delbridge, before we work our way up the pitch to Lars Veldwijk. I caught up with Harrison recently to ask him about the move to Incheon, what he found most difficult at first, and what has been behind the team's good form of late, among other things. So after the break, here's what he had to say.
FNR is a revolutionary football-dedicated digital platform, the first of its kind in Australia. It provides a 24/7 live online radio platform experience, podcast hub, and acts as a content provider for TV, radio, and digital. Having reached millions of listeners and football fans since launching, FNR is accessible worldwide via its website or app, providing a platform to discuss, debate, and celebrate the world game. We are your voice of football, FNR Football Nation Radio.
All right, Incheon United's Harrison Delbridge, welcome to the K-League United podcast, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, mate. Good to be here.
I understand that you had a bit of a training session this morning. What's it like training in this heat? I know you obviously were from Australia and you spent some time in the US, but the humidity might be a bit different here, I imagine.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's like I'm used to that sort of dry heat. I grew up in Brisbane, so in Queensland it gets pretty hot as well. But here it's like I can't even tell whether I'm hot or whether I'm just sweating. It's one of those weird ones. So yeah, it's taken some getting used to, but you know, everyone's just got to deal with it and get on with it. And luckily, I've had a little bit of experience in the heat growing up as well, so it's not too bad for me, but took some adjusting.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's begin with the move to Incheon United. How did that come about, and what were your first impressions of Korea and the K-League?
Yeah, obviously, it's a funny one because when I was growing up, I moved to the US when I was quite young, and I only thing I really watched was Europe and, you know, the MLS and stuff. But then when I came back to Australia the past few years playing in the A-League, there was a lot of Aussies that come over to the K-League that I started noticing, you know. And so when I first came back, I started paying more attention to it. And I think it's one of those leagues that around the world has a good reputation as, like, you know, good standard, good quality football and you know, difficult league to come and play in. So when the opportunity came up, I was coming off contract, and obviously it was choosing between staying in Australia and taking on a new challenge in Korea, and ended up, you know, choosing to come to Incheon. And I was lucky to have a few friends that have played over here before that sort of spoke to me, got in my ear before I came over and sort of let me know what to expect and stuff. But yeah, no, I was excited to take on a new challenge. I'd been in Australia, like I said, for 3 years, and I was ready sort of to take on the next thing. Always been like that over my career, that I want to try and, you know, keep taking steps forward in my career, and Korea looked like that next step. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned there that you started out in the US. What was it that made you start out over there in terms of your football career? Was it? Do you think it's a better system over there, or more opportunities?
I don't think it is a better system, to be honest with you, for professional football. The reason I started was because my family took me over there as like a young kid, just for my dad's work. So living there, the pathway to professional football is you go to a good university, get a scholarship, and then hope that you make it to the professional level over there. And I just think it's a little bit, puts you behind the eight ball a little bit in the US, because you're in, you know, 21, 22 coming out of university, and you still haven't experienced a professional level. Whereas if you look at, you know, even countries like Australia, there's 16-year-olds that are getting contracts with clubs, and in Europe, obviously, you know, when you're 22, you're considered older, and I could see the same thing here. There's young boys at the club that get experience from a young age at the professional level. So I think that has been a reason that my career has been slower than I would have wanted to, and now I'm 29 instead of being 26 and on the same career path. But it is what it is. Everyone has their different paths, and that just was sort of the easiest one, or that made more sense for my career path.
Right, I see. Well, as you will know, Incheon are known for their knack to survive the drop season after season, but things look a bit different this year. It's been a good start. You're sitting pretty comfortably there in the mid-table, well away from the relegation zone. At the time of recording, before Jeju United are where you are 6 unbeaten with 3 wins. How would you assess the team's start to this season? And, of course, your own contributions.
Yeah, I think obviously it's hard. This is my first year here, so I haven't experienced the sort of, I've heard about it, and obviously there's a history of the club sort of battling relegation, and that's something that I haven't experienced before. So I can understand the sort of pressure that the club, can feel. All these clubs when they're battling for relegation, it's it's a lot of reason why a lot of people like to watch the leagues, because you're not just watching the top few teams, you're watching the whole league because everyone's scrapping for points. But I think we've got ourselves in a good situation, and I think we've set ourselves up well for the rest of the year to really take advantage of where we are. I think even if you look at a few of results over the season that could have gone our way, we could have more points than we do, letting I think probably 3 or 4 games slip that we were set up to win. So yeah, like I said, I think the team's in a good way and everyone's fit and healthy, no injuries, and we've set ourselves up for what can be a successful end to the season. Yeah.
Well, what do you think's been the main reason behind the good form? Obviously, from someone that's within the club, from your point of view within the changing rooms, what's been the sort of secret to success so far? Is it a good team spirit, or is it just, do you have the right balance of players, experience, and whatnot?
I kind of go back to this Songnam game, which sort of kicked off a bit of a run for us. Feels like ages ago now, especially with the break. But I think we had a little bit of a shift where we sort of had to come together and say, look, this game here can be a turning point where we figure it out and everyone gets on the same page and we can move forward together. Or, we don't figure it out and it's the same thing that it is every year and we're battling for relegation. And we had a sit-down meeting before that game and everyone, sort of came together. And I think since then, it's been more of a willingness to approach the games more cohesively, I think. And whether that means we're defending more cohesively or our attacking style when we are trying to counter against teams and stuff, I think we've just been on the same page a lot more, which I think has made the biggest difference in getting results that, in the earlier part of the season maybe we weren't taking advantage of. That's been the biggest thing for me, is everyone just being on the same page.
I see. Well, you played in midfield a little bit as well as obviously being a centre back. Do you have a preference on where you like to play?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely a centre back. I think, obviously I have been and am willing to play wherever the team needs me, and even in the past I've been played as as a fullback, and I think having the ability to be able to do that when the team needs you is something that I've prided myself on, and I might not look like a standard centre mid when I'm playing centre mid, but more of a centre back out of position. But whatever, I think a few of those games that I played in there, we just needed to lock it down, and that was sort of my role while I played in there. I obviously wasn't pulling too many strings, but no, yeah, I'm willing and able to do that if we need me to.
Yeah, perhaps it was to sort of fill the void left by Rashid Mahazi, because he did so well in midfield for Incheon over his, I think, his 18-month spell. Was he someone that you spoke to before you joined the club?
It's funny, no, I didn't. I haven't never spoken to him and never met him, but since I've been here, everyone's had such great things to say about him, and like a great player, like you said, and also seems like left an impression on a lot of the players that are still here that were here when he was here, as like a really good person as well. So I think that's important when foreigners come to Korea. You need to be willing to gel and sort of throw yourself at the K-League. And I think, over the past, you've seen players that have come over and tried to make it work and it just doesn't fit, and then they end up going back to wherever they came from. But that's one of the biggest things that all of my friends that have come over here and played just said, throw yourself at it and be open to a different style of play, different style of coaching, that sort of thing. So that's what I've tried to do.
Yeah. What was the hardest part of sort of trying to adapt to the style or the sort of the lifestyle? What was the hardest thing to sort of get used to when you first came over?
I think the hardest thing for me was like just missing out on the little bits in training sessions that you don't understand, or before games where it's there are times where you don't have a translator. You know, most of the time we do have a translator, but earlier on there was a few sessions where I wouldn't have a translator, and you just sort of like little things that you don't think are important when you got a coach speaking English to you and you're listening to what they're saying, what they want, or you know how another team's going to play, the little things that they say that you sort of miss out on if you don't pay attention to, or you don't have a translator. That was tough at times to adjust to that, but it just means you have to pay closer attention. Like I sort of took it for granted when I was playing in Australia, being able to take on all this information. And now when the coaches are speaking, I'm watching what they're moving around on the board or where they're pointing or, you know, that sort of thing. Adjusting to that because, you know, as well as listening to what they're saying, communicating at times in the beginning it was frustrating, you know, like I was trying to get my point across, they're trying to get their point across, and it was like it's a learning curve for sure, because in my life I've never had to do that before. Like I grew up speaking a tiny little bit of Spanish in school, and so I'd have Spanish players that would come to Melbourne when I was there, and I'd speak with them a little bit, but I've never had it the other way around where you're the one that's like trying to catch up to what everyone else is talking about or things like that. So that was definitely a learning curve, and I knew it would be, but I think you've gotten used to it. Even learning like small Korean words that help so much, just football words that, you know, you maybe didn't know before. Just takes time to pick that sort of thing up. And now that I've learned a lot of those words and learned a lot of their tendencies, it's so much easier to communicate.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the coach, actually, because Cho Sung-hwan, he actually guided Jeju United to second, I think it was in 2017, and he was seen as being one of the next sort of big managers in the K-League. And it didn't quite work out for him towards the end of his time there, but obviously he did a very good job last year with Incheon, possibly the greatest of great escapes that they did last season. What's he like to work with?
Yeah, that I'd obviously heard about that when I came in, the sort of shift in the team's momentum when he came in last year. And yeah, he's a coach that you know what he expects day in and day out in training. He has high expectations as far as work rate and physicality and that sort of thing. So which I think comes pretty standard in the K-League with a lot of the teams. But just more recently, I've had a new translator that's come in that actually spent some time in Australia as well. So I'm actually getting more from what he's saying now more recently. And yeah, I think he's someone that obviously has experience in the K-League, because, you know, sometimes you come up against really quality players and you have to attack them in a different style than, you know, you might be used to in the past. Maybe we have to play more defensively, and he obviously has heaps of experience there and knows how he wants to approach these games. So being able to communicate with him more and receive what he's saying has been nice.
Yeah. Right, I won't keep you too much longer. I've got a few questions here from an Incheon United fans forum, Incheon Nation. A couple of sort of quick fire questions. They ask you, what kind of efforts did you make when you first moved to try and adapt to the new team and your new surroundings?
I think it's more of what I was talking to you about earlier. It was just really having an open mind to a different you know, culture. I'm lucky because I've had a little bit of experience growing up in Australia. There's actually quite a few Koreans that come over, and there's Korean food, and there's, you know, even early on everyone was surprised that I knew how to use chopsticks and, you know, stuff like that. Just little small things where, you know, it's not one of those things where I'm coming in and I can't eat any of the food, or I'm not willing to, you know. I think just throwing yourself at it, and that was sort of the biggest thing as far as fitting in with the boys, being open to, you know, getting to know people just because you can't speak to them as well as you usually can.
Yeah, well, actually, that was obviously one of the questions as well about the Korean food. Have you got a favorite food that you like in Korea that you tried so far?
Yeah, I obviously don't know all the names of them, but a lot of the soups that we have here are great. I love like the bulgogi. I'm like a big meat eater, so it's, you know, I've noticed we get a lot of Aussie beef over here, which is nice.
Yeah.
But I think I've heard rumors that apparently the Aussies send all their good beef over to Korea and Japan. So maybe now I'm finally eating the good stuff. But yeah, no, it's been good. The food's great here, and my partner as well. She loves she loves trying the new food, and we always smash the barbecue and stuff. I gotta stop calling it Korean barbecue because when you're in Australia, you call it Korean barbecue, but here they just call it barbecue. So
Yeah.
everyone's like, yeah, we get it.
Yeah. All right. They ask you, how do you like living in Incheon? And I think it's Songdo, I believe. They seem to think you live in Songdo. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the best city I've lived in Korea so far. I've heard, like, compared to a lot of other cities, it's really easy for foreigners to sort of adapt here. And I've sort of experienced that. A lot of places I go, the menus have English, and there's quite a few people that speak English around here as well. So it's been nice and relatively easy transition. Obviously, I'm ready for this whole COVID thing to be over. I know everyone is, but it's like almost 2 years since I've been able to see my family and stuff like that. So it'll be great when they can come and visit me here and get to see them again. But no, it's been great. It's been a really easy adaptation.
They also ask you, what do you usually do in your free time?
I've got a young Labrador that takes up a lot of time. And if I don't, she terrorizes us. So a bit of that. We like, trying new cafes. We love the coffee in Melbourne, where I come from, is massive. So it was nice to see that there's also a coffee scene here, because otherwise we would have been in a bit of trouble. But no, just exploring. And like I said, obviously it's hard to do that now with COVID. You feel like you're not really getting to see everything that you usually would, but it makes it easy to focus on football because that's the only thing we've got going on.
Very true.
Yeah, no, bit of everything.
Oh, fair enough. They also ask you if you've heard your nicknames. They call you the Del, the Emperor Harrison, the God Del is one as well. Have you heard of these, and what do you think about them?
I've some of the physios have told me a few of them over the past, but they're I appreciate them. They're funny. Usually I just get deli back home, so it's nice to see that they're getting a little creative with it. But yeah, no, I really appreciate it. The supporters in Incheon, I'd heard before I came, but they're like diehard and just love the club. So that's made it really great as well, because that's like part of the reason footballers plays, to play in front of supporters and stuff. So I'm looking forward to them being able to come back and at the stadium, but you still feel them, with little things like that, and so it's been really nice.
Yeah. Okay. They also ask you, who is your roommate when you stay over in hotels for away matches?
Yeah, I'm lucky. My roommate speaks English buncho, so number 70, we room together a lot of the time. So it's also nice to have that like a consistent roommate every single time. I've been in teams before where it's always changing and you got to get used to rooming with someone else, but now we've got a good system going together. And he spent a bit of time living in Canada when he was younger, so his English is pretty much perfect. But yeah, no, I'm lucky. He's a great roommate. I think in preseason I had a few other roommates. Bansuk, we were together for a while, and Dongyu as well, junior up. So it's a lot of good guys on the team at Incheon, so you pretty much can't go wrong. But it is nice to be able to speak to someone.
Yeah, for sure. They also ask you, final question is, who is your bestie in the team?
I don't know if I have a bestie. Like we all pretty much get on really well. Like it's obviously easier to sort of migrate towards the foreigners because, after you're wrecked after training and whatever, tired, you just like to try and communicate. I know for the Korean guys, they're like, sometimes you try and talk to them and they're like, just give me a break from trying to translate. So like, Agi and Nageba and Mugosa, we're all pretty tight, but like I said, all the boys are great guys. I speak to Toyo quite a lot. Pretty much everyone. It just rotates. Every day I sit with someone different and chat with them. All
right. Well, Harrison, thank you very much for your time. Good luck this weekend. And of course, good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers. See you. All right. Welcome back to the K-League United podcast. That was Harrison Delbridge. There is a written version of that interview available now on kleague.com. And K-League United Patreon subscribers will also be able to watch the full video later this week. So do stay tuned for that.
After the break, you can hear my interview with Suwon FC striker and K1 leading goal scorer Lars Veldwijk about his life at Suwon 1 year on from our previous interview, and also about that Ulsan match last week. Don't go anywhere.
Fans, we want to hear from you. You're encouraged to email KLU at info@kleagueunited.com or tweet at K-League United with any questions, comments or reactions. Or follow us on Facebook to ask directly during one of our live shows.
Welcome back to the K-League United podcast. I'm Matthew Binns and I'm joined on the line by Suwon FC striker and current Golden Boot leader, Lars Veldwijk. Hello, Lars.
Hello.
How's it all going?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I'm feeling good. We're having a great season so far. So yeah, I feel good.
Are you surviving this current heat wave at the moment we're going through?
Yeah. It's crazy, but yeah, we're lucky. We train very late during the day, and I'm getting used to it now. But yeah, it's always a bit hard for me. I come from Holland, from Netherlands, so yeah, I'm not used to this kind of weather circumstance. But yeah, we are getting used to it.
Yeah, I certainly have no idea how you're getting used to it. I can barely leave my house and go to the shop without being just covered in sweat. It's so hot at the moment, but the rain is coming, thankfully.
Yeah. I hope so. But yeah, for now it's okay. We survived it. So
that's good to hear. Last time we spoke, it was about almost a year ago to the day, actually. You just moved to Suwon, and you weren't too familiar with things there in the city. 1 year later, how is the city? Are you enjoying living in Suwon?
Yeah, it's by far the best place I've been in Korea. Maybe not like for holiday, but like to live in. Suwon is a great city. I live in a new area where you have many foreigner restaurants, and yeah, if you wanna go to Seoul, it's not so far, and like yeah, it's in the middle, a little bit in the middle of Korea. So yeah, I really enjoy the city.
Yeah, I remember last time I went back and listened to a previous interview before this one, and you were mentioning how you were still looking for restaurants that did good salads and things. That seemed to be what you're after. Have you managed to find what you're looking for now?
Yeah. I'm settled in, very nice, and yeah, I have a good place with good good restaurants around me, like good Korean, but also like good salad place or like a Mexican restaurant. So yeah, I have nothing to complain.
Oh, perfect. Well, since that interview, you've also got not a lot to complain about on the pitch. You've been promoted from K-League 2. The team's in the top half of K-League 1 at the moment. You're top of the scoring charts. It looks like life at the club is going well. Is that a fair assessment to make?
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. Yeah, I joined Suwon when they are in K2. I was on the moment then struggling with a small injury. So yeah, I finished the season quite well in K2. We get the promotion. That was the target of the club, so we made it, and yeah, we had a little bit of a tough start in K-League, but yeah, the last 2-3 months we find our way and we find the good combination and the right formation, and yeah, now we a dangerous team in the K1.
Well, yeah, dangerous seems to be a understatement, because I don't think we could bury the headline any longer. And the headline is that your side's last match, Ulsan Hyundai 2, Suwon FC 5. That's Asian champions Ulsan, so It's not exactly a small feat there. So, Lars, where do we start? Do we start with the 4 goals or the assist?
Let's start with the assist. No, but that's what I mean. We are a dangerous team. I think teams will be maybe scared to play against us now. We looking very sharp. We looking very good. We have different kind of play styles. We can play long balls, but we also very good in the possession game. At the beginning, we concede too much goals. So, but now, with the new coach we signed, the defense is looking better, and we get used to each other, and it's not strange. We had a lot of new signings. So it took some time, but now we do very well.
Yeah. I was impressed. I was particularly impressed in that match because you were 1-0 down to Ulsan, and Ulsan are one of the title challengers this season, possibly the favourites for the title. And you're 1-0 down. You're 4-1 up by half time. I mean, it must have made your manager's team talk easier.
Yeah. This is exactly the good thing about our team. Like we went down 1-0. But we show great mentality in the first half. We didn't give up. Like normally, when you play Ulsan away, and you you don't want to get them the goal first, and because then this is going to be a tough game. But we keep focused. We did well, and yeah, of course we're a bit lucky because the every ball went in the last game. But yeah, it shows our qualities. Even against Pohang, we 3-0 down, we come back to 3-3. So yeah, that shows the mentality we have on the moment, and the real belief that we have in the team and in everyone.
And that mentality also showed just a few days before that match as well, because it's safe to say Suwon is now red and blue rather than being red, white and blue. After Suwon, after Suwon FC overcame Suwon Blue Wings in the Suwon derby. It's just everything just seems to be going well, it seems.
Yeah, that's exactly. We dominate the game against Suwon Samsung. Then we get they didn't create many chances. Then they had a shot off target who was deflected by a defender and went in. But even then we didn't give up. And you see in the last 10 minutes our condition and the belief is very good. And then we turn the game around and yeah, you win the Suwon derby. So
as alluded to, Suwon are now 5th. They look like you could be away from danger come the end of the season. I asked you last year, I said, how would you rate that team then, and how would they fare if they were in the K1 at that point? And you said they would stay up if promoted, and obviously you look even better this season. Have your targets at the club changed this season?
No, our target is still like to stay in the K1. And yeah, as it will be very nice if we end in the top 6. Because yeah, then you're safe already before the split is coming. But yeah, we need to, we have a great start after the break, but we still need to give the same mentality and same focus every game. And it's now going well, the 2 games, but yeah, if you lose a few games, we still it's still very close with the bottom. But we made a good start, and yeah, it's a little bit difficult to watch through the table in the moment because of the games are not even. So yeah, we need to focus on ourselves, and like if we show this mentality and keep this focus every game, I have a good confidence that we be safe hopefully soon.
We spoke last time about the manager Kim Do-kyun, and you had only just really joined the club, so you weren't too familiar with him, but you said you're enjoying playing for him. What is he, after a year of playing under him, what's he like to play for, and more importantly, what is his footballing philosophy?
Yeah, he's like a real open person. I don't want to say he's like a typical Korean. He is like we have a lot of conversations. If I something where I don't agree with, I can go to him, and like we have a really open relation. At the beginning of the season, we were struggling a little bit and had some negative conversations. But yeah, of course now everything is going well, and yeah, I like a coach like him where you can go to and have like a conversation, or he's asking about my family. So yeah, it's a really open person, and I think it's a good coach. He's still quite young, and I think it's his 2nd or 3rd year now as a professional head coach. So yeah, I think he's doing a great job.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be that way on the pitch. And on the pitch, Suwon, you've got some of the best attacking statistics in the league at the moment, in the top 3 for shots. You've got the most accurate shooting. How much does the footballing ethos at Suwon FC differ from the clubs you've played for in the past?
Yeah, I think every team has something on their own. It's hard to say what is different or something, but yeah, I think the combination we have this year, the group is really close together. We have a good team building, so everybody can go good with each other. And like what I say, the coach is really open, so he loves to talk with the players. And we being negative to each other, but we always know it's in the end it's because we want to get better and better every time. Even after the Ulsan game now, yesterday we had the video meeting, and of course we can show many good video clips of the game, but we also take the negatives because we still want to learn and still want to improve to get better and better.
As for yourself, have you evolved at Suwon FC? How has your role evolved? Because like last year you came in, you were more perhaps to support An Byung-jun, who was leading the striking charts in K-League 2. This season you're the main scoring outlet. How's your position evolved, do you think?
Yeah, last year I knew with Am Byung-jun was doing very well, and yeah, what I mentioned before, I was not 100% fit, so I was accepting that role, and I knew like the second year is need to be my year. And yeah, I did the surgery in December, and then I came back in February in Korea. Then I was a little bit struggling, but I knew the coach wanted to play me as soon as possible, and yeah, that gave me a lot of confidence. But I was not ready on when the K-League starts, so I needed some more time. Yeah, now I think I'm the number one striker, and the coach give me the confidence as well. Like before, if I can imagine the Gwangju game at home. We had a very tight schedule, and I was not playing very well. But he put me in the game for like 90 minutes, and yeah, then we scored again in the last 10 minutes. I gave a goal and assist, and yeah, some other coaches maybe change the striker then because they think, oh, he's tired or he doesn't play a good game. But he kept me in for 90 minutes and gave me the confidence, and yeah, that's helping me a lot.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the mentality of overcoming such a lengthy injury, because you had the injury at the beginning, just before the beginning of last season. You obviously COVID was taking over the world at that point, and you're a player new to the country. How much has your mentality changed over this last couple of years, this last year and a half? And
a lot. I had never had an injury before, so that first of all was new for me. I was on the other side of the world. I was at Jeonbuk, the biggest club. I was looking forward to the start, and then one week before, in the last practice match, yeah, my knee was not feeling good. So yeah, it was really hard. I was on the phone with my mom, and I started crying, and I told my mom I really don't know what to do. And yeah, that was really a tough time. But yeah, also this kind of things make you as a person. And like the last year without my family, without my children, have given me, I think, a different mentality. And I learned so much, and I learned to be on my own for such a long time, and yeah, that make me a different person.
Also this season as well, you've been reunited with one of your teammates from Jeonbuk in Murillo. He's also seems to have taken to Suwon FC really well. He's got 7 assists this year. He's really a good creative outlet. How much has a difference has his arrival made at the club?
Yeah, a lot. I knew Muriello from Jeonbuk, of course, and I was really happy when the club told me they tried to sign him, and they asked me some things about him, how he is as a person, and yeah, he's really a fantastic player, but also a fantastic person off the pitch. So yeah, I'm really happy that he joined the club, and yeah, we work very hard together. We speak a lot about football and about our family and all these things. So yeah, we really close, and yeah, I think you can see that on the pitch as well.
And speaking of Jeonbuk, it's your next match. You'll be coming up against them on Wednesday, and it's actually the first time you will have played them, because I remember the last time you were still not fully fit. You were in the stands for when Suwon travelled to Jeonju. Jeonbuk are in a similar situation to Ulsan. It's going to be their first game back after quite a long spell away. Do you think Suwon FC could take advantage of this on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think for sure. You saw at Ulsan as well that it was the first game after the ACL, and when they came back to Korea. So yeah, I think we can have a good chance, and I still have many friends at Jeonbuk, so I'm really looking forward to this game. And yeah, they miss also some players who are at the Olympics. So yeah, of course, what I told every team, we can make it. Every team we can make it difficult now. So
yeah, definitely. Are you looking forward to testing your former teammates as well, especially that defense, which you should be familiar with from your time there?
Yeah. They almost have the same team as last year, so I know almost every one of them. and with a few of them I still in contact on daily basis. So yeah, that's I'm really looking forward to this game, and yeah, I can't wait till it's Wednesday.
We do have a question in from Suwon FC Espanol. They are a Suwon FC Spanish fan page on Twitter, and they wanted to know, just on the subjects of defence, who is the toughest defender you faced in the league, or the toughest defence you faced in Korea so far?
Oh, I think as a team, Daegu has a strong defense. Like overall as a team, and they have a quite big centre back.
Jong Tae-uk, the giant defender.
yeah. So, but I think as a team, they're really doing well. They never concede much goals. Yeah, it's strange to say, but like Ulsan has a good defense as well. Like a strong defense. They didn't concede many goals before the last game. So yeah, I will probably go for the Daegu defense.
Okay, yeah, it's a very good shout. Jong Tae-uk is a very young and upcoming defender, and Daegu have a very young team, so very promising future for them at the moment.
Yeah.
Just going back to the season as a whole, then, what are your personal goals for this year?
Yeah, I had them before the K-League start, so I will not tell my personal goals like in numbers, but I'm on a good way to get my goals. I'm almost there. So yeah, for me it's like I almost reached my goals already. What I have targeted before the K-League start. But for me, it's the most important that I stay fit the whole year. That we do well with the team. It will be great if we finish in the first 6. I think then we did an amazing job. And yeah, I just hope to continue like enjoying how we play, and of course with goals and assists.
Okay, well, I hope you achieve them. And finally, then, I guess, do you have a message for the Suwon FC fans?
I feel sorry that the stadium is closed again for fans. We go to a tough situation again with the corona. So I hope the fans will support us from home, stay safe and healthy, and we're gonna show them hopefully again on Wednesday the flow we are in and the mentality we have now. We want to make them proud from home, and I hope I can visit them soon in the stadium.
Okay, Lars Veldwijk, best of luck to you and Suwon FC for the rest of the season, and thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you. All the best.
Eulji Lewis is your neighborhood British bar and cafe located in the Old Jiro district of Seoul. Decorated in old English antiques and furniture for a true homely feel, you can enjoy homemade scones, cakes and afternoon tea during the day, and traditional British favourites like beef stew, English ale, and a fine selection of wines at night. Available for private parties or simply an evening out, Eulji Lewis is sure to become your favourite neighbourhood pub. Be sure to mention K-League United at the bar during your visit and you'll get 10% off your bill.
All right, welcome back to the K-League United podcast. That was, of course, Lars Veldwijk. And up next, we have the Eulji Lewis Mailbag. Matthew.
Yep, we have a couple more questions that we didn't get to earlier. These are more K-League related. We have a question in from Suwon FC fan in Spain. They want to know, what do you think of Fedsal Mulic from Songnam FC as a substitute for Lars Veldwijk? He also just wants to point out that he doesn't want to lose Lars Veldwijk. He just wants to know if that would be a good replacement in Suwon's future.
Yeah, I mean, Mulic has had a great start to life in the K-League. I mean, obviously, Songnam on a bit of a poor run now. I think it's 10 games without a win heading into the midweek fixtures, so not ideal. But he's been a real bright spark for them, and he's an interesting kind of striker because it's a bit of a cliche, but he's got good feet for a big man. And he's quick. He's really quick. You wouldn't expect him to have such lightning pace. Certainly over the sort of the first 5 yards. But yeah, he's a good player, and if Songnam can kind of stop leaking goals, which they brought in Kwang Gyong-won as well, and they kept a clean sheet in their first game with him there. So if they can get him, if they can stop conceding goals and Mulic can kind of find that form he had earlier in the season, yeah. And I would probably say that both Veldwijk and Mulic might have some sort of so-called larger teams interested in them towards the end of the season, or for the winter transfer window, because they both shown this season, especially Lars as well, after obviously leaving Jeonbuk, he's shown that he can do it at this level. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if Suwon FC will be Mulic's first choice. Maybe if he has an offer from China, that kind of seems to happen. If you have a good season in K-League, Chinese teams come knocking. But yeah, he certainly fits in that mold and is a little bit more mobile than Veldwijk might be.
There was actually one other question in from Suwon FC fan, and that was, he says it might be a silly question, but if a goalkeeper in K-League gets a red card and the team has no substitutes left, could a foreign player from the field play as goalkeeper? That's
an interesting question, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it would matter, because if they're not a specialised goalkeeper, just because they're foreign, it doesn't really make them any better than a Korean outfield player. But they might, I would say, because as goalkeeper, communication is very important, and trying to talk to the back four, they might need a Korean keeper in there anyway, just one of the Korean outfield players. So it would probably be quite unlikely that if that situation happened, they would choose one of the foreign players, unless he's shown in training that, when messing around, he can play as a decent goalkeeper, mm-hmm. Maybe. But
I can't think of any examples off the top of my head. I think that's something we have to come back to. But yes, no, like you said, it's quite a rare situation, and then it'd be very unlikely it would be the foreign outfield player that would be picked. Anyway, one last question in, and that's from Father John via Twitter. Will Incheon be in the Champions League, and will Seoul be relegated?
Seoul Ulsan, they can't get relegated. They're in K-League 2. No, but I mean, Incheon, wow, they are in great form at the moment. 3 wins in a row, 7 unbeaten, and they are sitting very comfortably in mid-table, as I talked about with Harrison Delbridge. So, I mean, ACL, I don't know, because you've got Daegu, who look like they will finish higher than they did last year, and that was 5th. I know they qualified for ACL, but that was because of Sangju being relegated and whatnot. I would say that, I don't know, yeah, maybe. That 4th spot, obviously Jeonbuk, Ulsan, Daegu, the 4th spot, no one really seems to want it at the moment. Why not Incheon?
It'd be interesting if they do. They might have some competition from Suwon FC, who are also doing things at the moment. But yeah, it's very tight at the moment in the middle of the table. It's good to see Incheon not embroiled in the relegation scrap as of yet. 10 points clear from that end of things. Seoul getting relegated, well, we can dream.
I can't see that happening, to be honest. I know they are at the wrong end of the table at the moment in 10th, but I think once things start to click with Chapman starting and with Barbosa, who looked decent against Pohang, and Ji Dong-won, who looked quite bright against Ulsan the weekend, I think they'll be all right. They'll probably still finish bottom half, but they won't go down.
I think things are probably going to turn around there. They've got too much depth to be struggling there for too much longer. And I also think that Songnam they're not going to finish below Songnam. So it'd come down to the playoff places, and who knows, Gwangju, maybe when Jonathan starts playing, could all turn around. But and I think that wraps it up for the mailbag this week.
Yeah, that's it. Almost all we have time for this week. A little bit of housekeeping, though. My feature interview with Dayan is available now on KLeagueUnited.com. And there are also 2 video versions of that. One on YouTube for everybody to see. And there's also an extended director's cut edition where he names his ACL teammate 11, which there are some interesting inclusions and omissions. That is not to be missed. And of course, Matthew, you have your interview with Lars Veldwijk coming up on KLeague.com later this week. So if you're listening to this on FNR, it's probably already out. If not, then it's coming up very, very soon.
Yeah, that's right. And as for us, you can find us on all social media platforms at K-League United. You can also follow us on Patreon if you like what we do. And we have So Rare features featuring the So Rare injury information that is like gold dust. And that's at the K2 Champion $5 tier. But we also have the $10 tier, which also includes weekly predictions of starting lineups. There's also our regular series like K-League Survivor and a number of extended cuts of interviews like you've already mentioned, and just general bonus is The tiers start as low as $1, but the $3, $5 tiers available, and the $10 as well.
Indeed, yes. And you can listen to us live on every Thursday down on Football Nation Radio in Australia. You can subscribe via iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, and wherever you get your podcasts from. Leave a review. 5 stars will be preferred, and you get entered into this month's K-League kit contest, which is still that very bright, very summery pink Gwangju goalkeeper kit, which is very, very nice. Looks better in person. So do stay tuned to see who wins that. All right, well, that is it for us this week. Check soon.
See you soon.
정규석